You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com. Bitcoin, Ether, Ripple, Litecoin, and more. Cryptocurrencies and other digital assets are taking the financial world by storm. This exploding market provides everything a savvy trader needs: volatility, volume, and liquidity. Provided you know how to find it. That's where we come in. Welcome to the Crypto Rundown. Each week, we'll break down the latest trading activity, trends, and developments on everything from coins to tokens, futures, and even OTC options. If it's moving the crypto markets, then you'll find it on the Crypto Rundown. Now it's time to dive into the exploding world of cryptocurrencies and digital assets. It's time for the Crypto Rundown.
All right, everybody, that music means it is time once again for the Crypto Rundown, the program where we break down all the things popping off in the world of crypto. That includes the spot and also the derivatives, the futures, the options, as well as the vol, the term structure, the big trades, all that good stuff. My name is Mark Longo from theoptionsinsider.com, as well as, of course, from the ever-exciting The Options Insider Radio Network. If you're waiting for your episodes of Crypto Rundown every Monday, then, of course, a lot of other stuff for you guys to sink your teeth into on the week. You got Options Playbook Radio, a couple episodes of the Option Block. You get volatility views. You got TWIFO this week in futures options. You got Advisor's Option hitting the network again this week. A bunch of interviews, all sorts of good stuff. So we keep you busy in between here. So if you're just coming for the crypto, I encourage you, check out the rest of the network. If you like those derivatives things, particularly the option side, we got a lot to keep you excited. I think if you're excited, I really should say, if you're not excited by crypto this week, then you're probably never going to be. What a crazy week. Let's get into it with our Bitcoin breakdown.
It's time to explore the latest trading activity, trends, and developments across the world's leading crypto market. It's time for the Bitcoin Breakdown.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Bitcoin Breakdown. This is indeed the portion of the program where we break down the week that was and indeed still is on the Bitcoin trading front across a variety of products and a variety of different venues, and the trades, the trends, unusual activity, volatility, all that good stuff. And my, oh my, what a week it has been since the last time we all gathered here together on the program. I guess you can sum it all up in one word: China. China decided to stir things up this week, and oh boy, did they. It's funny, though, coming into showtime, we're up pretty strong. We're up about 14, let's say about 1,200 handles from where we were this time last week, a little bit north of 9,400 coming into showtime here last week. We were a little bit shy of 8,200, so net on the week, a good run, but that doesn't tell the whole story, listeners. Of course, you had the Chinese president coming out this week and effectively talking up Bitcoin a little bit, saying they needed to, quote, seize the opportunity. He was speaking to the Political Bureau of the Central Committee on Beijing, and he said, effectively, we must take the blockchain as an important breakthrough for independent innovation of core technologies. So it doesn't sound like the most exciting thing, but it was enough to get the markets excited. Of course, he also went on to say necessary to implement the rule of law into the network in existing and future blockchain systems. You know, from a Chinese perspective, that means a lot of monitoring on their front end, which doesn't maybe go hand in hand with all things open on the blockchain side. But be that as it may, markets liking what they heard. He also called for the creation of what's called Blockchain Plus. That's a platform for personal development, education, employment, food, and medicinal safety, among other basic needs for China. This is all interesting because, of course, back in 2017, the People's Bank of China effectively banned cryptocurrencies. Now they're coming in and sounds like going guns blazing on the underlying core technology, which is, of course, the blockchain. And that was enough to, shall we say, move some markets. Huge week, just massive swing, about roughly 3,000 point swing on Bitcoin this week. That kind of upside, it kind of varies depending on where you're looking, which venue you're looking at. But pretty much we saw right after last week's show, we saw Bitcoin effectively getting crushed down to about near 7,300 on the downside. So getting into the Tuesday, Wednesday, later portion of the week, middle portion of the week, really saw it really testing that downside. So threatening, again, that 7,000 level. Then, of course, along comes China, and the worm turned pretty aggressively, rebounding nearly 3,000 points. Again, that top point of the graph kind of varies where you're looking. I happen to have CoinDesk up right here. They say the top was 10,071 on the 25th on Friday, but the other venues say it's a little bit higher. It kind of depends where you're looking. Either way, it was nearly a 3,000 point swing in the span of not too long there at all. It puts it pretty much one of the biggest 2-day jumps, pretty much the biggest 2-day jump since we saw all this frenzy really kick off in earnest back in December of 2017. So very, very topsy-turvy period. Of course, Bitcoin then pretty much turned right back around and came back down to pretty much where we are right now. Still up on the week to about 9,400, but just crazy times in betweens. Our friends over there at CryptoPatterns.net have put up an interesting technical analysis, this is a good week to have one of those. You can find it over there, theoptioninsider.com. Their Bitcoin technical analysis said they saved the bullish path for Bitcoin by blasting back above the resistance built in the 8,000 range and meeting the high probability target of 9,500. Then it went through that much higher, tested the next level of stronger resistance at what they view as the 10,500 level, never for the next level of stronger resistance. Couldn't quite break that, of course, and then retreated back down to about where it is right now, right around that 9,500 level. We're obviously a little bit shy of that right now. So, yeah, interesting things. Bullish signs are saying strong daily volume on the charts. It rebounded above 7,700, which is an important bottom level to them. They said the red flags are the weekly volume overall was not that impressive, and the moving averages are close to crossing bearish, but they can be bullish if this worm continues to turn to the upside. So just a fascinating week. Still kind of processing and digesting what all these comments really mean. No one really knows, but it was enough, of course, to set the crypto markets ablaze this week. Let's speak about that blaze. Let's get into the volatility. Of course, a lot of these metrics coming from our friends over there at SKU3W. Check it out if you want to dig into these numbers and these metrics and these graphs. And you can really lose yourself for hours. So if you head over there and you want to dig into some of the volatility metrics and data from Bitcoin and crypto, just be prepared to lose yourself for a little bit. But let's look at the volatility first. 30-day realize is where we like to hang our hats a lot out here. That's obviously higher, up to about 75.5%. That's up from 60% this time last week. And then, of course, let's look here as well. We don't usually like to talk implied, but let's just pull it up because it's been a crazy week out there as well. It was coming into last show. It was pretty much threatening its near-term low here. It's right around 55% for the implied out there. And, of course, with all the madness that unfolded last week, we saw it rally up, not quite double, but pretty close, get up to almost 100, about 95%. And right now it's hovering in the low 80s, about 83.5%. So no matter how you slice it, Bitcoin is quite volatile right now. It was a decent volume week, pretty strong volume week out there on DERIBIT. That's a good thing because if this week wasn't a strong volume week, then you have to kind of wonder what the heck does it take? A nearly 3,000 point swing in the underlying isn't enough to light up some options. And we saw big volume out there. Remember, that 30 million value is really kind of the level we kind of sink our teeth into. Above that is a decently busy day. Below that, not much going on. We had 3 days above that threshold over the past week. The biggest day coming on the 24th with about 123 million. The 25th was 75 million. Those are the days of the big kind of swing there. And then the 27th with about 44, almost 45 million out there. So again, not every day rock'em sock'em robots, but a decent amount on the days that we're trading. What was the big trade of the week in terms of size? And we like to scan for trades that are over 50 50 Bitcoin. And let's see here. The biggest trade of the week, actually looks like it was a funky Dees out of the money put stupid, which is not what I expected at all. It was looks like a 300 lot, so selling 300 of the Dees 3,000 puts, but also the Dees 2,500 puts, 300 of each, so a total of 600. That's a pretty big trade if you know anything about crypto options out there. This was done when Bitcoin was right around 8,200, a little bit shy of that, about 8,100 and change. So still doesn't make those strikes make any more sense. We never got close to that. Why they would do it as a stupid as well is kind of interesting. I can maybe see a little bit more of an argument for crypto. I'm not a big fan of stupids. If you listen to any of our other shows, you know I think the name is apt. But maybe in crypto is not as much liquidity, not as much strike selection as well. So maybe I could maybe see an argument for a stupid where maybe what you really want to hang your hat is somewhere around that middle range and there's not enough liquidity to really hit that. So you do the stupid instead, but still not a huge fan of the stupid. Also saw a 300 lot going out there of the Nove 8,500 calls. Paper buying those this week when it actually looks like a decent scoop when Bitcoin was a little bit shy of 7,500, 7,457. So that seems like that one, going to go out on a limb and say that one probably worked out for them on that front. And then after that, the next biggest print was also Nove, actually same day. So this could have been related paper. Actually, I think it was because this was another big print. So someone wanted those Nove 8,500 calls, did it to the tune, it looks like a total of about 500 total. The other one went up a little bit different price as well. So maybe they were doing prices on splits. That could have been why they went up separately like this. But they were both done right around 74.60 or so when that's where Bitcoin was at the time. So it's like they bought about 500 of these Nove 8,500s. Again, looks like that one probably worked out. I don't have the other side of this one right now to see if or where they closed out. Then it kind of falls off a little bit again. The next biggest trade is 145 of the ACH 8,000s, which of course went out on the 25th here. So those bad boys are already gone. They were traded on the 23rd of October. So interesting stuff out here. Let's look at the term structure. Term structure, as you probably would expect, is super backward right now from a vol term structure perspective. That contract going out the end of this week, no first, which is, again, mostly gamma, not much vol, but still, it's just through the roof here. It's at an 84 or so out there. Like I said, about 83.5, 84 is right where front month kind of, and just vol is right now. And then it kind of falls off a bit, a couple of points down to Nove, then it spikes back up again to the end of Nove, which gets up to an 83 again. So kind of a weird 2-point kind of blip there at the front portion of the term structure. Then it keeps kind of heading north until we get to March where it peaks out. It looks like around 84.5 or so. Then it falls off a bit again down to 83.5 for June. So kind of odd the way the term structure is shaping up out there right now. If you saw the last week, if you saw this massive sell-off to the downside, then a huge rally to the upside, then sell-off a little bit again, where would you think the options would be shaping up from an overall open interest and put-call perspective? Would you think the calls were in charge? Would you think the puts were in charge? If you said the latter, you were correct. The call-to-put ratio is down to 40%, so therefore 60% puts, 40% calls. The puts are leading the dance right now. That's down from nearly 60% in favor of the calls last show. So puts running the board out here right now, which maybe that 600 contracts and that put stupid had something to do with it. Open interest also soaring pretty well as well, which is, of course, what you'd expect on a week like this. You'd hope people would be opening positions. It went from about 443 million last week to about 514 right now coming into showtime. So we're not near the high. The max was about 660 a few months back, but still a decent amount of OI on the board, which is good because October rolled off the board and there was a lot of paper out there, which we'll get to right now, actually, because looking at where the hot months are from OI perspective. Remember last show, October was number 2 with nearly 19,000 contracts. That all went off the board last week. So where did that paper go this week? It went out to Dees. Dees is even more firmly in charge now in the number 1 spot with about 27,500 contracts open out. That's up about 3 or so thousand from last week. So clearly not all of the ACH had nearly 19,000 contracts. Not all of that rolled out into Dees. It spread out amongst other months or just went off the board entirely. But still interesting to see that Dees is even more firmly in control. The next closest is the expiring on the 29th of November contract with about 8.6 thousand contracts out there, 8,600 contracts. So yeah, nothing even really close to threatening Dees. And then the contracts going out this week have about nearly 8,000, and that's pretty much close to what's going on in March with about 7,500 out there. Let's go on to the futures. see how those were playing along. As you might expect, pretty strong volume day and indeed a pretty strong volume week here for the Bitcoin futures over there on CME. Coming into showtime, they had done a little bit over 5,000 contracts today, and over the week, it was a pretty hot week. The big day was Friday, nearly 10,000 contracts on the tape. That's the most contracts we've seen go up out there in some time. Thursday, about 5,000. Wednesday, about 8,200, so a strong day on Wednesday there as well. Tuesday, kind of the laggard, a paltry 2,800, and Monday, about 4,200 on the tape over there. So yeah, when you're looking at the news for Bitcoin, it's kind of hard. Everything else kind of just got swamped, got washed away by all the things going on out there in China land as a result. Some people were interested in and excited about the fact that Bitcoin pretty much closing in on that 21 million level, which is, of course, the limit to Bitcoin. We had to hit about 18 million coins mined. I think that was as of last week. People worrying, hey, we already done 18. There's only 3 million left to go. This is going to be done pretty soon, but don't worry. As the math works out, the next 3 million Bitcoin, of course, the whole point of the halving is to reduce the incentive to do it and becomes a little bit more challenging to do it as well. So they'll be slower to mine and the rewards won't be there as much. So they expect, and these halvings occur every 210,000 blocks. So right now it's every 4 years on the current pace. And that's going to, of course, expected to reduce the supply every time by about 50%. So according to that math, the final Bitcoin should be mined in 2140. So we have over 100 years, actually 120 years for that to run out. That's a long time to go for the last 3 million. I have a feeling it probably won't take that long, but still interesting for all the folks who are wringing their hands over the future of Bitcoin. But now it's time to wring our hands over what the heck happened this week in altcoin. It's time to roll on into the altcoin universe.
It's time to move beyond Bitcoin and find out what's moving the rest of the crypto marketplace. It's time to boldly venture into the altcoin universe.
All right, everybody, let's do it. It's time to get altcoiny with the altcoin universe. I think I just coined a new adjective here for the show. But yeah, interesting stuff going on. Obviously, Bitcoin moving, the altcoin universe was moving this week as well. Coming into showtime here, let's run down the market cap really quickly. Bitcoin at about 170 billion. And then number 2, ETH with about 100. Actually, 100. I'm sure ETH lovers wish that was that level. No, about 19, almost 20 billion out there. Puts it about 11.65% market cap. XRP, our old friend Ripple, just a little bit shy of 12 billion. That puts it at about 7% market cap. Bitcoin Cash, number 4, a little bit shy of 5 billion. That puts it at about 2.85% market cap. Number 5, Litecoin, about 3.7 billion. That puts it at about a little north of 2, almost 2.2% market cap. Let's throw in our old friend EOS there as well. That's at about 3.4 billion. That puts it at exactly 2% market cap. Standard caveats apply, of course, for all those market cap numbers out there. Let's roll on into the week that was. From an altcoin perspective, let's start with our friend ETH. A huge week. It's funny, you come into Showtime, you think, not much really happened show on show with ETH. It's only down about 4 handles from where we were last week. Coming into Showtime, so right about 182 or so. Was at about 186 and change last show. So you think, not a huge week for ETH, but on the range side, this thing was moving, had nearly a 40 handle range this week, hit its low of right around 158 on the 23rd. And then, like everything else, turned right around and roared to the upside up to 194 on the 25th before settling back out pretty much right where we are right now, right around 182 again. So a huge week out there from an ETH perspective. Let's move on to our other friend here, Ripple, a.k.a. XRP, a.k.a. the name a lot of you love to love. Maybe that Ripple love is kind of fading a little bit now that it's kind of been lingering at these levels here for a little bit. Coming into Showtime yet again, it's kind of funny. This is the second or third week in a row now where XRP coming into Showtime is almost exactly unched from where it was last week, down to the fractions of a cent. And yet, that belies the kind of active week it had, where down to the downside, it broke 27 cents to the downside, got to about 26.60 on the upside, threatened 31, almost got up there. So once again, we're back north of 30. Everything's right with Ripple again. Well, not so much. Of course, it came back off and pretty much right back where we are right now and right back where we were last week, right at around 29 and change. Actually starting to threaten 30 a little bit again here, but still pretty much almost exactly unched from where we were last week. So Ripple caught a bid. Like the rest of the crypto market, couldn't really sustain it as the week went on. Litecoin, also another one, the net move on the week kind of belying its range here because it looks like, it's only up $2 from where it was last week, and yet right now it puts it at about a 58 and change right now coming into the latter portion of the show here. But yet on the week it got down to about 48.5 on the downside and a high of 62 and about a quarter on the upside. So a pretty impressive range out there, nearly 14 handles as well. So Litecoin rocking and rolling, but the big mover in the altcoin universe this week from a net point perspective was Bitcoin Cash. I think the technical term is a huge week. It's up net on the week over 40 handles from where we were this time last week, and that even undersells the range a little. It had not quite 80 points, about 72-point range here on the week. Dropped down to about 205 on the downside. Like I said, coming at short time right now, we're at about 266. And hit a high of nearly 277 on the upside. So a huge week, a huge range in Bitcoin Cash. Not exactly surprising that maybe with so much going on in Bitcoin that Bitcoin Cash would follow suit as well. But still, just a fascinating week out here in all things altcoin. I'm looking forward to the day when there are more derivatives listed on a lot of these so we can sink our teeth into exactly what's going on there. Maybe have some ETH futures, some options would certainly be nice. And of course, they exist on various platforms, but not quite to the level we need to really sink our teeth into them here. But soon, hopefully, we'll see more of that. Meanwhile, though, it's time for you guys to follow up with your crypto questions.
You've got questions about crypto. Who doesn't? It's time to find out the answers to your crypto questions.
All right, let's do it. Let's see what you guys have on your brain. And it's a crazy week, so I got to imagine you got some crazy things. I'm going to have to go out on a limb and guess one thing is probably on your brain, and let's see. Yeah, that seems to be on your brain this week. Art here he's chiming in with his comment. He says, dude, China, WTF. I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head there, Art. You kind of said it all. That's really all there is to say on that. Yes, China. WTF, because we really have no idea what this means, what's going on, how the U.S. will respond. China kind of threw the gauntlet down saying they're embracing this. I've said many times here on the show that it does seem like Asia is running away with this from a regulatory perspective. Obviously, very early days, crypto still banned in China, but still, that level of willingness to embrace it from the top on down is not something we've seen here in the U.S., and certainly not from a regulatory perspective. So, again, early days, nothing really concrete has happened yet. But some people thinking maybe the ball's in our corner now to respond to this. So I agree with you, Art. China, WTF. I like that. That could be the title of our show this week. Let's see. Here's another one coming in from, this is an unpronounceable name. I was going to say TGINCHK. He or she wants to know, why is the crypto market losing its mind over China this week? How the heck can China adopt blockchain when their entire approach is contrary to the open ethos of crypto? I agree with you to an extent. Obviously, China's top-down, highly regulated approach to all things, whether it's blockchain or crypto, is probably concerning to a lot of people out there who want to really, as you mentioned it, to support that open ethos around the space. But again, we have to be careful not to conflate the underlying and underpinning technology of the blockchain with the crypto trading that we all love here on this show. It is possible to adopt the blockchain and to implement some of those strict controls that I'm sure China will want. It's not what people here want, of course, but it's what they're going to want. So it is possible to do that and use the fundamental technology for that purpose. Is that the right way to go? I'm sure a lot of people in the blockchain and indeed the crypto world would say no, but that is indeed what they're looking at probably. And that, I think, to get back to the heart of your question, I think just any sort of opening of the kimono, to mix my regional metaphors completely there, when it comes to China and crypto, that alone was enough to just spark, obviously, a huge rash of optimism out here. Because if China gets on board to any degree with any of this stuff, then it's going to be a game changer for these markets. And we saw that playing out this week with 20+% rallies over the course of a session or two here. Clearly, people were a little, shall we say, irrationally exuberant because those highs didn't last. But yes, I agree. There is an inherent conflict between the, in general, open nature of a lot of this technology and how they will apply it in China, and that's something that has to be worked out. But I think just the general level of interest, opening the doors to a lot of potential new players and utilizers of the technology, as well as hopefully potential owners and traders of a lot of these assets, that was enough to get people excited. But see the comments from our friend Art earlier, China, WTF. All right. Let's go to Deletor. I like that name, the Deletor. Deletor wants to know, any talk of backed options? Not that I've seen. Maybe you've seen it. I think Back's got a bunch of other things they need to get rolling first, like some volume on their futures before they get going crazy with the options out there. But still, we'll be on it, hopefully first, when they're thinking about listing options. Again, they probably got to build up a little bit of core liquidity in that underlying contract first before they talk about adding some options. But yeah, hopefully Deletor, we will know first when or if Back decides to pull the trigger on the options. All right, another related question. This comes from NextGen. NextGen wants to know, will the Back consumer app turn the page on the volume? If you're not familiar with what they're talking about, Backed announcing, might have been today. Yeah, it's today. A consumer, what they're calling a consumer-facing app to help retail customers transact with cryptocurrencies. If you're familiar with kind of the backstory there, one of the reasons people were so excited about it is had a lot of big name backers out there, including Starbucks. And Starbucks want people to use this and spend it in their stores, obviously. That's why they're part of this. So they're going to try to launch an app that helps people go, I'm assuming, to Starbucks and maybe Microsoft. I know they're part of this as well. And use those backed currencies to transact for actual physical goods. That's the plan there, at least, as well. They said we'll be launching a consumer app to make it easier for consumers to discover and unlock the value of digital assets, as well as ways in which they can transact or track them. Merchants gain access to a broader set of customers with expanded spending power. They also hinted that the app may support more than just Bitcoin, which, if you follow Back, you know they really only have two contracts right now. They're both Bitcoin. So maybe they're going to expand to ETH and others soon. We shall see. So this also kind of speaks to what we talked about a lot on the show of late as well, which is that kind of blurring of the lines of the role of a quote-unquote exchange in the crypto space versus what is traditionally the role of a broker, or in this case, a vendor, really, of some sort of consumer-facing retail app, which sounds like it's about more than just trading. It's actually buying goods and services. So the roles of what an exchange versus a broker versus a vendor, what they really are in the crypto space, are extremely blurry. And this Backed initiative, just another. This is not launching, I don't believe, till 2020 anyway. So we're not gonna see us anytime soon. So I think to answer your question there, Mr. and Mrs. NextGen, I don't think it's gonna turn the page on the volume anytime soon. Which, if you listen to last show, you know has been a constant theme. It's been pretty much under 50 contracts. I haven't had a chance to dig up Backed volume this week. Maybe we'll see if they could break that 50. Hopefully they did over the course of the past week out here. Actually, yeah, it looks like they did. They did break that level here. We saw a big move out here. We saw a lot of volume in the CME futures. Backed volume exploding, as they term it, 260%. They traded 11 million worth of notional in the 24-hour period when the markets were going crazy. They traded 1,183 Bitcoin futures contracts. That's obviously one-to-one, so that's 1,183 Bitcoin. That compares to 331 contracts the day before. So that's definitely a new record for Backed, and you would hope that would be the case this past week, right? Because if they're not going to set a new record last week, then when are you going to do it? So maybe that will give all you out there who are doing a lot of hand-wringing about Backed some hope for the future. Because, again, we want all these products to succeed. It's better for you guys at the end of the day. So they got a little bit of volume last week. Obviously, they couldn't maintain it, but neither could the CME futures out there. That was a relatively aberrant spike out there. But still, interesting to watch, and we'll certainly be watching Backed with increased interest in the coming months. All right, unfortunately, listener, that's all the time we've got here. A little bit of a shorter show this week, taking a break from The hot seat's been full of late. Needed a little respite from that. Plus, there was a lot to talk about just in the underlying itself. We'll get back to the regular rotation of guests in the hot seat very soon. Don't you worry. Keep those questions coming. We love to hear from you guys. You guys are really the reason we do this show, of course, peering into all things going on in the world of crypto derivatives. And again, enjoy that other content. Hit the network throughout the rest of the week, and we'll see you back here next Monday for more of the Crypto Rundown.
You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com.